The faint chime of the bell above Foster's corner store broke the stillness of a quiet afternoon in Willow Creek, a small town nestled between rolling hills and fading dreams. Lila Carter, 28, stood behind the counter, her auburn hair tied back in a loose ponytail, her name badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. The store was a relic of simpler times, wooden shelves stocked with canned goods, a candy rack by the register, the faint aroma of coffee drifting from the diner next door. For Lila, it was a sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in the rhythm of scanning items and chatting with regulars. But today, the air felt heavy, the silence a reminder of a life that seemed to stretch endlessly before her, unchanging. Lila's days were predictable, a clockwork monotony of ringing up purchases and restocking shelves. She'd grown up in Willow Creek, the daughter of a single mother who'd worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat. When her mother passed 2 years ago, Lila had taken this job, needing stability more than ambition. The store was her anchor, but it was also a cage. She glanced at a faded photo tucked beside the register her mother, smiling in a sunlit garden. "Find joy in the small things, Lila," she'd always said. Lila tried, but joy felt elusive, like a melody she could hear but not sing. Her eyes flicked to a local newspaper on the counter. The headline stark: "Megamart to open in Willow Creek, threatening local shops." Foster's corner store, with its creaky floors and loyal but dwindling customers, was no match for a corporate giant. Lila's stomach twisted. If the store closed, what would she have left? She pushed the thought aside as Mrs. Delaney, a regular, shuffled in, her cane tapping the floor. "Afternoon, Lila," she said, placing a loaf of bread on the counter. "You're looking thoughtful today." Lila forced a smile, ringing up the purchase. "Just dreaming, Mrs. D. How's your garden?" The small talk flowed easily, practiced dance, but Lila's mind wandered, searching for something more. The store was quiet today, the usual bustle replaced by a stillness that mirrored Lila's own restlessness. She restocked the candy rack, humming softly, when the bell chimed again. A man stepped inside, tall and broad-shouldered, his denim jacket bearing the creases of long travels. His boots, dusted with mud, hinted at a journey beyond the paved streets of Willow Creek. Beside him, clutching his hand, was a boy, no older than 8, his curly hair framing a face marked by quiet shyness. The boy stayed close, his eyes flickering nervously from shelf to shelf, as if the world were too big to trust. Lila's gaze softened. There was something about the pair that felt out of place, like characters from a story she hadn't read. The man, who she assumed was the boy's father, approached the counter, setting down a loaf of bread and a carton of milk. He gave her a nod, his face weathered but kind, his eyes carrying a weight she couldn't place. The boy stayed silent, his gaze fixed on the floor. "Good afternoon," Lila said, her voice warm. "How's your day going?" The man smiled faintly but didn't respond, instead glancing at the boy and gently squeezing his shoulder. The boy looked up, and Lila caught a flicker of fear in his eyes. Then the man moved his hands, a series of fluid, deliberate gestures passing between them. Sign language. Lila's heart sank as she realized the boy was deaf. She felt a pang of guilt for not noticing sooner, but her instinct to connect kicked in. The boy reached into his pocket, pulling out a small piece of paper with trembling fingers. He handed it to Lila, his eyes darting away. In shaky handwriting, it read, "Can I have candy?" Lila's chest tightened. The boy's hesitancy, the man's silent encouragement, it was a language of its own, one she wanted to speak. "Of course you can," she said softly, her voice instinctively gentle. She grabbed a chocolate bar from the rack and slid it across the counter. "Is this the one you like?" The boy's face lit up, but he didn't respond, turning to the man who signed something Lila couldn't understand. The boy nodded eagerly, a small smile breaking through his shyness. It was a fleeting moment, but it warmed Lila's heart. A spark in her otherwise gray day dawned as the man paid. His movements careful and deliberate, the boy stopped, tugging at his sleeve. Another flurry of signs passed between them, the man's expression softening. The boy approached the counter again, more confident now, and handed Lila a second note. She unfolded it, her throat tightening as she read, "Thank you for being kind." Lila looked up, her eyes meeting the boy's. "You're very welcome," she said, hoping he could read her lips or feel her sincerity. She tapped her chest, holding up the note. "This means a lot to me." The boy's smile widened, radiant and unguarded, and he gave her a small wave as they left. The bell chimed as the door closed, and Lila felt an unexpected warmth spread through her. It was a small act, a candy bar, and a smile, but it had left a mark. She tucked the note beside her mother's photo, a quiet promise to hold on to this feeling. What she didn't know was that someone else had been watching, his presence as unassuming as the dust he swept. William Foster, gray-haired and weathered, sat at a corner table, his janitor's uniform blending into the background. He sipped a cup of coffee, his sharp eyes missing nothing. To the staff, he was just Bill, the quiet cleaner. To the world, he was the owner of Foster's corner store, disguised to see his business through the eyes of those who kept it alive. William leaned back, a faint smile tugging at his lips. He'd started this ritual years ago after the store grew from a single shop to a small chain, distancing him from the customers and employees he once knew by name. Posing as a janitor let him observe unguarded moments, the kind that revealed true character. And what he'd just seen in Lila, warmth that transcended her role, convinced him she was special. The boy and his guardian, their silent bond, had struck a chord, but it was Lila's response that lingered. She didn't just serve, she connected. William jotted a note in his pocketbook. Lila Carter, kindness in action. Potential for more. The afternoon wore on, and Lila moved through her tasks with a renewed lightness. She helped Mr. Thompson, an elderly regular, find his wallet, buried in his coat pocket. "No rush, Mr. T," she said, her patience easing his embarrassment. "Happens to all of us." He left with a grin, his earlier worry forgotten. Later, she chatted with Rick, the delivery driver, about his daughter's first day at school. "She's growing up fast," Lila said, stacking boxes with a smile. "Tell her I said hi." Rick's face brightened, a small connection in a long day, but not everyone appreciated Lila's warmth. Sarah, a coworker with a sharp tongue, watched from the stockroom, her eyes narrowing. "Always the favorite," she muttered, restocking shelves with a thud. Sarah had been at the store longer, but customers gravitated to Lila, a fact that stung. Lila sensed the tension but brushed it off, focusing on the notes still tucked by the register. She glanced at the door, a flicker of hope that the boy might return. She didn't know his name, but she felt tied to him, as if their brief exchange had woven a thread she couldn't ignore. William, sweeping nearby, caught Sarah's resentment and Lila's quiet resilience. He'd seen this before. Jealousy could poison a team, but Lila's kindness was a counterweight. He thought of the boy's note, the man's weary gratitude. There was a story there, one that could change more than just a day at the store. For now, he remained in the shadows, his mop moving in steady arcs. But in his mind, a plan was forming, one that would turn a single act of kindness into a legacy for Willow Creek. The morning sun filtered through the smudged windows of Foster's corner store, casting a soft glow over the wooden shelves and the candy rack by the register. Lila Carter stood behind the counter, her auburn ponytail swaying as she arranged. A display of gum packets, the faint chime of the doorbell still echoing in her mind from yesterday's encounter. The note from the shy, deaf boy Noah. She'd learned from a scribbled signature lay tucked beside her mother's photo, its words replaying in her head. "Thank you for being kind." It was a small gesture, a candy bar, and a smile, but it had stirred something in Lila, a flicker of purpose she hadn't felt in years. Foster's corner store, with its creaky floors and familiar faces, felt different today, as if it held secrets waiting to unfold. Lila's life in Willow Creek was a quiet one, shaped by loss and routine. Her mother's death 2 years ago had left a void, and the job at the store, though steady, often felt like a tether to a life she hadn't chosen. Yet yesterday's moment with Noah and his guardian had cracked that routine open, letting in a light she wanted to chase. She glanced at the newspaper still on the counter, its headline about Megamart's looming arrival a stark reminder of the store's fragility. If Foster's closed, where would she go? The thought gnawed at her, but Noah's note was a counterweight, a reminder that even small acts could matter. The bell chimed, and Lila looked up, her heart skipping as Noah stepped inside, clutching the hand of the tall man she now knew as Ethan Brooks, his uncle. Ethan's denim jacket was as worn as before, his face etched with the same quiet exhaustion, but his eyes softened when they met hers. Noah, his curly hair bouncing, seemed less guarded today, his gaze darting to the candy rack before settling on Lila. She smiled, a warmth spreading through her. "Hello again," she said, her voice bright. "Good to see you both." Noah gave a small wave, his shyness tempered by familiarity, and Ethan nodded, a faint smile breaking through his reserve. Noah approached the counter, his hand fidgeting with a small notebook. He opened it, flipping to a page with a colorful drawing a figure behind a counter, her hair a splash of red, surrounded by a glowing sun. Above it, in careful letters, he'd written, "Lila." Her breath caught. "Is this me?" she asked, pointing to the figure. Noah nodded, his eyes bright with pride. Ethan leaned in, his voice low but warm. "He worked on it all night. Couldn't stop talking about you." Lila's cheeks flushed, her heart swelling. She crouched to Noah's level, her voice soft. "This is beautiful, Noah. Thank you." She reached into her pocket, pulling in a small notepad she'd bought that morning, inspired by Noah's gesture. "I got you something," she said, handing it to him. "For more drawings." Noah's face lit up, his hands moving in a flurry of signs. Ethan interpreted, his tone gentle. "He says it's perfect. He wants to draw more for you." Lila grinned, mimicking a simple sign she'd practiced. "Thank you," her fingers clumsy but earnest. Noah beamed, correcting her with a patient gesture, and for a moment, the store felt like a world of its own, their connection a quiet defiance of the ordinary. From a corner near the canned goods, William Foster watched, his janitor's uniform blending into the background. The mop in his hands moved in slow arcs, but his sharp eyes were fixed on Lila. He'd seen countless employees over the years, but few had her gift, a natural ability to make people feel seen. Yesterday's exchange had been a spark. Today's was a flame. William's decision to work undercover stemmed from a promise he'd made to himself after the store expanded. Success had pulled him into boardrooms, away from the customers and staff who gave the store its soul. Posing as Bill, the cleaner, let him rediscover that soul, and Lila was its beating heart. He jotted in his pocketbook, "Lila's kindness is a catalyst." Time to act. The moment was interrupted by Sarah, Lila's coworker, who emerged from the stockroom, her arms crossed. "Always playing favorites," she muttered, loud enough for Lila to hear. Sarah's resentment had grown since yesterday, her sharp comments a constant undercurrent. Lila ignored her, focusing on Noah, but the jab stung. Sarah had seniority, but her bitterness alienated customers, while Lila's warmth drew them in. William caught the exchange, his jaw tightening. Sarah's attitude was a problem, one he'd need to address if his plans were to succeed. As Noah and Ethan prepared to leave, Noah tugged Ethan's sleeve, signing rapidly. Ethan pulled out a notepad, scribbling a message for Lila. Noah says you're his favorite person here. Thanks for making him feel welcome. Lila's throat tightened. He's my favorite too, she said, her voice catching. Noah waved, his smile radiant, and Lila waved back, the bell chiming as they stepped into the sunlight. She tucked Ethan's note beside Noah's, her heart full but her mind racing. She wanted to do more, to help Noah beyond candy bars and smiles. But how? The store's rhythm resumed. Customers trickling in, a mother buying diapers, a teenager grabbing soda. Lila moved seamlessly between tasks, her warmth unwavering. When Mr. Thompson, the elderly regular, fumbled for his wallet again, she reassured him with a smile. Take your time, Mr. T. We're in no hurry. His gratitude was a small victory, but Sarah's glare from the stockroom was a reminder of the tension brewing. Lila pushed it aside, her thoughts drifting to Noah. She'd spent the previous night watching sign language tutorials online, her fingers tracing clumsy shapes. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Mid-afternoon, the bell chimed, and a woman entered, her heels clicking with purpose. She was polished, her tailored coat and silk scarf a contrast to the store's rustic charm. Lila straightened, sensing her authority. "Excuse me," the woman said, her voice firm but polite. "I'm looking for Lila Carter." Lila blinked, surprised. "That's me. How can I help you?" The woman smiled, handing her a business card. "I'm Rebecca Lawson with Bright Futures, a nonprofit for children with disabilities. I believe you met one of our kids, Noah Bennett." Lila's heart skipped. "Noah? Yes. He's been here twice. He's wonderful." Rebecca's smile softened. "He is. His uncle, Ethan, mentioned you. Noah hasn't stopped talking about the kind lady who gave him candy and learned his signs." Lila flushed, a mix of pride and humility washing over her. "It was nothing, really. I just wanted him to feel welcome." Rebecca's gaze was steady. "It wasn't nothing. Noah's been through a lot losing his parents, adjusting to life with Ethan. He doesn't open up easily. You made a difference." The words landed heavily, stirring Lila's desire to do more. Rebecca continued, her tone warm but professional. "Noah's working on a project, a collection of drawings about his experiences. He wants to include your kindness, this store. Would you be open to sharing your perspective for our publication? It raises funds for kids like him." Lila hesitated, her self-doubt flaring. She was just a cashier, not someone who changed lives. But Noah's drawing, his radiant smile, pushed her forward. "I'd love to," she said, her voice firm. "Anything." For Noah, Rebecca handed her a folder with details. "We're hosting a fundraiser next week to showcase the kids' work. Noah would love for you to come." Lila nodded, her mind buzzing. "I'll be there." As Rebecca left, Lila felt a shift, as if the store's walls had expanded, connecting her to something bigger. She glanced at Noah's note, her resolve strengthening. She'd make time for the fundraiser, even if it meant juggling shifts with Sarah's complaints. William, sweeping nearby, had overheard the exchange. Rebecca's involvement was a new piece of the puzzle, one that aligned with the plan forming in his mind. Years ago, he tried a community project, a food drive, that fizzled due to poor planning. The failure had haunted him, a reminder that good intentions weren't enough. But Lila's connection with Noah, her effortless empathy, was different. It was a foundation he could build on. He thought of the boy's sun drawing, its rays a symbol of hope. A name flickered in his mind. Sunflower hearts. He wrote it down, the seed of an idea taking root. The day wore on, and Lila's thoughts kept drifting to Noah. She helped Rick, the delivery driver, unload boxes, asking about his daughter's school play. "She's a star," Rick said, his grin wide. "You should come see her sometime." Lila laughed, promising to try. But Sarah's presence loomed, her comments sharper now. "You're not the only one who works here, Lila," she snapped, slamming a crate onto a shelf. Lila bit her lip, choosing silence. She didn't want conflict, not when Noah's drawing was still warming her heart. That evening, Lila stayed late, rearranging the candy rack, her mind on the fundraiser. She pulled up a sign language app on her phone, practicing hello and friend under the fluorescent lights. Her fingers stumbled, but she kept going, driven by the memory of Noah's smile. William, locking up, watched from the doorway, his expression unreadable. He'd seen enough. Lila wasn't just kind, she was transformative. The store was quiet, but the air hummed with possibility. Tomorrow, he'd start putting his plan in motion, a plan that would turn one small act into a legacy. For Willow Creek. The fluorescent lights of Foster's corner store buzzed softly, casting a warm glow over the wooden shelves and the candy rack where Lila Carter stood, her fingers tracing the edges of Noah Bennett's sunflower drawing. The store, nestled in the heart of Willow Creek, had always been a place of routine, but the past week had woven a new thread into its fabric. Noah, the 8-year-old deaf boy, and his uncle Ethan Brooks had stirred something in Lila, a sense of purpose she hadn't known she craved. Their visits, marked by shy smiles and scribbled notes, had cracked open her world, and the invitation from Rebecca Lawson to join Noah's fundraiser had given her a glimpse of something bigger. Yet, as she arranged a display of canned soup, Lila felt a familiar doubt creep in. She was just a cashier, not a leader. Could she really make a difference? The bell above the door chimed, and Lila glanced up, hoping to see Noah's curly hair or Ethan's weathered jacket. Instead, it was Rick, the delivery driver, hauling in a crate of produce. "Morning, Lila," he said, his grin wide. "Heard you're doing some big charity thing with that kid." Lila blushed, stacking apples. "It's just a fundraiser." "Rick, Noah's drawings are the real star." Rick chuckled, wiping his brow. "Don't sell yourself short. Whole town's talking about you." The words warmed her, but they also weighed heavy. The town's attention was new, and not all of it was kind. Sarah, her co-worker, had grown colder, her comments sharper since Lila's interactions with Noah drew notice. Yesterday, Sarah had snapped. "You're not running the place, Lila," her tone laced with venom. Lila pushed the memory aside, focusing on Rick's chatter about his daughter's school play. From his usual corner, William Foster swept the floor, his janitor's uniform a perfect disguise. To the staff, he was Bill, the quiet cleaner, but as the owner of Foster's corner store, he saw everything. The flicker of doubt in Lila's eyes, the resentment in Sarah's posture, the potential in the boy's drawings. Noah's sunflower, a symbol of hope, had sparked an idea that refused to fade. Sunflower Hearts, a community program to support families in need. William had tried something similar years ago, a food drive that collapsed under mismanagement, leaving him wary but not defeated. Lila's kindness, her ability to connect, was the missing piece. Today, he'd reveal his identity and set the plan in motion. But the timing had to be perfect. The morning passed in a blur of customers, Mrs. Delaney buying bread, a teenager grabbing chips. Lila moved with her usual warmth, but her thoughts were on the fundraiser. She'd practiced sign language late into the night, her fingers stumbling over friend and happy, driven by the memory of Noah's radiant smile. Sarah, restocking shelves, muttered under her breath, "Teacher's pet," loud enough for Lila to hear. Lila's stomach twisted, but she stayed silent, unwilling to let Sarah's bitterness dim her focus. William, sweeping nearby, caught the exchange, his jaw tightening. Sarah's attitude was a growing problem, one that could undermine his vision if left unchecked. Midday, the bell chimed, and Rebecca Lawson stepped inside, her tailored coat a stark contrast to the store's rustic charm. "Lila," she said, her voice warm but purposeful. I hope I'm not interrupting. Lila smiled, wiping her hands on her apron. Not at all. Is this about Noah? Rebecca nodded, her eyes softening. He's thrilled you're coming to the fundraiser. I wanted to drop off some materials for your contribution to the publication. She handed Lila a folder, its pages filled with Noah's drawings and stories from other children. There's something else, Rebecca added, her tone careful. Ethan's been struggling financially, emotionally. Raising Noah alone hasn't been easy. Your kindness has been a lifeline for them. Lila's heart sank, Ethan's weary eyes flashing in her mind. I had no idea, she said softly. Is there anything I can do? Rebecca's smile was encouraging. You're already doing it. Just keep being you. As Rebecca left, Lila flipped through the folder, pausing at Noah's sunflower drawing. The weight of her role in his life settled over her, both humbling and daunting. She tucked the folder beside Noah's note, her resolve strengthening. She'd make the fundraiser count, for Noah and for herself. William, watching from the stockroom door, saw the shift in Lila's posture, doubt giving way to determination. It was time. He approached her during a lull, his voice low. Lila, can you meet me in the back room after your shift? Bring Rebecca and Ethan if they come by. Lila blinked, confused. Sure, Bill, but what's this about? William's smile was cryptic. You'll see. She nodded, unease prickling her skin. Bill was always quiet, unassuming. Why the sudden urgency? That afternoon, Noah and Ethan returned, Noah clutching his notebook, his eyes bright with excitement. Lila crouched to greet him, signing a clumsy hello. Noah giggled, correcting her with a patient gesture, and handed her a new drawing, a sunflower. With petals radiating like light, labeled Lila, my friend. Her throat tightened. This is incredible, Noah, she said, her voice thick. Ethan scribbled a note. He says you make him feel safe. Lila's eyes glistened, and she signed thank you, earning a beaming smile from Noah. Ethan's gratitude was quieter, his nod heavy with unspoken burdens. As they left, Lila caught William's gaze, his expression unreadable but intense. She relayed his request, and Ethan agreed to return with Rebecca later. The rest of her shift was a blur, Sarah's glares and customer chatter fading against the anticipation of the meeting. When the store closed, Lila joined William, Rebecca, Ethan, and Noah in the cramped back room, the air thick with curiosity. William stood, his janitor's uniform replaced by a sharp blazer, his posture commanding. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice steady. There's something you need to know. Lila's brow furrowed. Noah clung to Ethan's hand, and Rebecca tilted her head, intrigued. William took a deep breath, his eyes sweeping the room. I'm not just the janitor. I'm William Foster, the owner of this store. The words landed like a stone in still water. Lila's mouth opened, shock rendering her speechless. Ethan's brow furrowed, his skepticism clear. Noah looked confused, signing to Ethan, who shook his head. Rebecca's smile was knowing, as if she'd suspected something. You've been watching us? Lila managed, her voice a mix of disbelief and unease. William nodded, his tone gentle but firm. Not to spy, but to understand. This store is more than a business. It's a community. I needed to see it through your eyes, the people who keep it alive. He turned to Lila, his gaze steady. What I saw in you, Lila, is rare. Your kindness to Noah, to every customer, isn't just service. It's transformative. Lila flushed, her heart racing. William continued, his voice gaining strength. Noah's sunflower drawing gave me an idea. I want to launch a program called Sunflower Hearts to support families like Noah and Ethan, financial aid, mentorship, community events. And I want you, Lila, to lead it. The room fell silent, the weight of his words settling over them. Lila's mind spun. Lead a program? She was a cashier, not a manager. Ethan crossed his arms, his voice cautious. Why now? What's in it? For you? William's smile was wistful. I tried something like this once and failed. I learned you need the right people. Lila's the right person. Rebecca leaned forward, her tone enthusiastic. This could align with our non-profits goals. I'm in. Noah, sensing the shift, signed excitedly, and Ethan translated. He wants to help. Lila hesitated, her self-doubt clashing with the spark Noah's drawing had ignited. She thought of her mother's words. Kindness is always enough. Okay, she said finally, her voice trembling but resolute. I'll do it. William's nod was one of quiet pride, but the challenges were already mounting. As they left the room, Lila overheard Sarah outside, her voice sharp. Lila's running the show now? This is ridiculous. The words stung, a reminder that not everyone would support her. The next day, Lila dove into planning sunflower hearts, her excitement tempered by obstacles. Sarah's resentment spread, whispering to coworkers that Lila was playing hero. For attention, a key supplier, pressured by Megamart's expansion, declined to sponsor the program, citing budget cuts. Lila's confidence wavered, her nights spent staring at the folder of Noah's drawings, questioning her ability to lead. She confided in Rebecca, who offered practical advice but couldn't erase the doubt. You're not alone in this, Rebecca said, but Lila felt the weight of expectations pressing down. Relief came unexpectedly when Noah and Ethan visited. Noah, sensing her stress, handed her a new drawing, a field of sunflowers under a bright sky. Ethan's note was brief. Noah says you're strong like the sun. Lila's eyes welled, her resolve reigniting. She organized a small art workshop for Noah and other kids from Rebecca's nonprofit, their laughter filling the store. A customer filmed it, posting the video online with the caption, Willow Creek's heart shines at Foster's Corner. The post gained traction, drawing local support and easing the supplier's reluctance. Lila felt a surge of hope, but the whispers from Sarah and the shadow of Megamart loomed. As the fundraiser approached, Lila threw herself into preparations, coordinating with Rebecca and Ethan. She met a single mother, Maria, at the store, who shared her struggles raising a disabled son. Lila invited her to join Sunflower Hearts, her empathy forging a new connection. The encounter grounded her, a reminder of why she'd said yes to William. But late at night, alone in her apartment, Lila's doubts resurfaced. Could she lead this? Was she enough? She clutched Noah's drawing, its sunflowers a beacon in the dark, and resolved to try. William, watching from the sidelines, saw Lila's struggle and strength. The fundraiser would be the first test, but Sunflower Hearts was his legacy, and Lila was its heart. He prepared a surprise for the launch, one that would solidify her role and silence the doubters. The store hummed with anticipation, its walls holding the promise of a new beginning. The early evening light filtered through the windows of Foster's Corner store, transforming the familiar wooden shelves and candy rack into a vibrant tapestry of hope. Lila Carter stood at the center of the bustling space, her auburn ponytail catching the glow of string lights strung across the ceiling. Tonight was the launch of Sunflower Hearts, the community initiative born from Noah Bennett's sunflower drawing and William Foster's vision. The store, usually a quiet haven in Willow Creek, pulsed with life tables lined with children's artwork, the aroma of fresh-baked cookies from a local diner, and the hum of voices from neighbors, customers, and supporters. Lila's heart raced, a mix of nerves and pride. She'd poured everything into this moment, but the weight of leading it still felt like a mantle she wasn't sure she could wear. The past weeks had been a whirlwind. William's revelation as the store's owner had shaken Lila, thrusting her into a role she hadn't imagined, leader of a program to support families like Noah and his uncle, Ethan Brooks. Noah's drawings, each a burst of color and heart, had inspired sunflower hearts, but the path to this night hadn't been smooth. Sarah's resentment had spread doubt among the staff. A key supplier had backed out under pressure from Megamart's looming expansion, and Lila's own self-doubt had threatened to unravel her resolve. Yet, Noah's unwavering faith is latest. Drawing a field of sunflowers labeled Lila, strong like the sun, had kept her going. Tonight, she'd proved that faith wasn't misplaced. The store was packed, the crowd spilling onto the sidewalk. Rebecca Lawson from Bright Futures mingled with guests, her tailored coat a beacon of professionalism. Ethan stood near a display of Noah's artwork, his weathered face softened by pride as Noah, clutching his notebook, signed excitedly to a group of children. Lila adjusted a table of baked goods, her hands trembling slightly. She'd coordinated every detail art exhibit's donation jars, a small stage for speeches, while navigating Sarah's barbs and the town's scrutiny. A viral video of Noah's art workshop had drawn attention, but with it came pressure. Social media buzzed with support, but skeptics questioned if a small store could sustain such ambition. "Nice idea, but it won't last," one comment read. Lila pushed the thought away, focusing on the present. William Foster, no longer disguised as a janitor, stood near the entrance, his sharp blazer a stark contrast to the mop he'd once wielded. His gray eyes scanned the room, a quiet satisfaction settling over him. He'd watched Lila transform from a hesitant cashier to a leader, her kindness forging connections that Megamart's fluorescent aisles could never match. The failure of his past community project, a food drive that crumbled under poor planning, had taught him to choose his champions carefully. Lila was that champion, and tonight was her proving ground. He caught her eye, offering a nod of encouragement. Lila returned it, her nerves easing slightly. The event began with Rebecca's welcome, her voice clear over the chatter. "Thank you for joining us to celebrate Sunflower Hearts," she said, gesturing to the artwork. "These drawings, created by children like Noah Bennett, remind us that every story matters." The crowd applauded, and Lila's chest swelled as Noah waved shyly, his curly hair bouncing. Rebecca introduced Ethan, who hesitated before stepping to the stage, his hands gripping a note card. "I'm not much for speeches," he said, his voice low but steady. "Raising Noah alone, after his parents passed, has been the hardest thing I've done. But moments like this, your support, Lila's kindness, make it feel possible." His eyes met Lila's, and she blinked back tears. The weight of his words grounding her. Noah took the stage next, holding up his sunflower drawing, its petals radiating light. Ethan translated his signs. "Noah says this is for Lila because she makes him feel like he can shine." The crowd erupted, and Lila's throat tightened, her hands clutching the edge of a table. She signed "Thank you," her fingers steadier. "Now," and Noah beamed, his joy infectious. A local reporter, drawn by the viral video, snapped photos, her article already taking shape. Willow Creek store launches heartfelt initiative. The moment was perfect, but Lila braced for the unexpected, her eyes scanning for Sarah, who'd been conspicuously absent. As the evening unfolded, the community rallied. Maria, the single mother Lila had met, donated a small sum, her son's smile mirroring Noah's. Rick, the delivery driver, brought his daughter, who handed Lila a crayon drawing of a sunflower. "It's for you," she said, and Lila hugged her, her heart full. But the harmony shattered when Sarah appeared, her arms crossed, her voice cutting through the noise. "This is all very sweet," she said, loud enough to draw eyes. "But let's be real. Lila's just a cashier. How's she supposed to run this?" The crowd hushed, tension rippling. Lila froze, her confidence wavering. Before she could respond, William stepped forward, his presence commanding. "Sarah," he said, his tone firm but calm, "Lila's more than a title. She's the heart of this store and tonight proves it. The crowd murmured in agreement, but Sarah's face reddened, her defiance faltering. To Lila's surprise, Sarah's voice softened. I didn't mean it like that. She stopped, her eyes dropping. I'm sorry, Lila. I was wrong. Lila exhaled, stunned but gracious. It's okay, she said, her voice steady. We're all learning. Sarah nodded, stepping back, and the crowd relaxed. The moment diffused. The night ended with a may end. Surge of donations, local businesses pledging support to counter Megamart's shadow. A major supplier, moved by the reporter's coverage, reversed their withdrawal, ensuring Sunflower Heart's financial footing. Lila stood by Noah's display, his sunflower drawing now framed as the centerpiece. He tugged her sleeve, signing rapidly. Ethan translated. He says you're his best friend. Lila crouched, signing friend back, her eyes glistening. You're mine too, Noah, she said, her voice thick with emotion. The next morning, William called a staff meeting in the back room, the air still buzzing with the previous night's energy. Lila stood nervously, her apron swapped for a blazer William had insisted she wear. The staff gathered, Sarah among them, her demeanor subdued but attentive. William cleared his throat, his voice warm but authoritative. Last night showed what this store can be, he said. Sunflower Hearts isn't just a program, it's a promise to our community. And it wouldn't exist without one person. He turned to Lila, his smile proud. Lila Carter, your kindness and leadership have transformed this place. That's why I'm promoting you to manager, effective immediately. The room erupted in applause, Rick whistling, even Sarah clapping softly. Lila's eyes widened, her breath catching. Me? She managed, her voice trembling. William nodded. You've earned it. Your heart, your connection with people like Noah, it's what this store needs. Lila thought of her mother, her words echoing. Find joy in the small things. She'd found it, and more. Thank you, she said, her voice steadying. I won't let you down. The weeks that followed saw Sunflower Hearts flourish. Lila, now manager, worked with Rebecca to launch a scholarship fund, with Noah as the first recipient, his joy at attending an art camp lighting up the store. Ethan, bolstered by the program's job placement support, found stable work, easing his financial strain. Maria's son joined the art workshops, his confidence growing alongside Noah's. The community rallied, local artists donating for auctions, restaurants catering events. A new supplier, inspired by the reporter's article, offered discounts, countering Megamart's pressure. Social media buzzed with hashtag Sunflower Hearts. The viral video now a beacon of hope got, but challenges lingered. A major donor wavered, citing Megamart's influence, and Lila worked late nights to secure alternatives, her exhaustion mounting. Ethan confided a near miss with social services, who'd questioned his ability to care for Noah. Sunflower Hearts gave us a lifeline, he told Lila, his gratitude humbling her. She leaned on Noah's drawings, their sunflowers a reminder of why she fought. Rebecca proposed expanding the program to nearby towns, a daunting but exciting prospect. Lila agreed, her confidence growing, though she wondered what her own future held beyond the store. The first anniversary of Sunflower Hearts arrived. The store transformed once more into a celebration of community. Noah, now 9, unveiled a massive mural, a vibrant depiction of Foster's Corner Store surrounded by sunflowers, Lila at its heart. William's eyes glistening with pride. Maria spoke, her voice steady. This program gave my son a chance to shine. Thank you, Lila. Ethan, more at ease, signed with Noah, their bond stronger than ever. Lila mingled, her blazer now a natural fit, her laughter mingling with the community's. As the event wound down, William pulled Lila aside, handing her a letter. It's from a national community organization, he said. They want to partner with Sunflower Hearts, maybe even bring you on to lead broader initiatives. Lila's heart raced, the possibility both thrilling and terrifying. She looked at Noah, signing happily with friends, and at the store, its shelves a testament to her journey. "I'll think about it," she said, her smile bittersweet. The future was open, but for now, she was exactly where she belonged. Story of Lila Carter and Sunflower Hearts is a radiant reminder that kindness, no matter how small, can ripple through a community, transforming lives in ways we can't always predict. Lila's journey from a cashier questioning her worth to a leader shaping a legacy teaches you that true impact comes from seeing and valuing others. Whether it's a deaf child's shy note or a struggling uncle's quiet gratitude. Noah's sunflowers symbolize hope, showing that even in the face of loss or doubt, beauty can bloom. Ethan's resilience and Sarah's redemption highlight the power of second chances, while William's choice to step from the shadows underscores the importance of trusting others to carry a vision forward. This story challenges us to look at our own lives. What small act of kindness can we offer today? Whose voice needs to be heard? Sunflower Hearts proves that communities thrive when we lift each other up, not through grand gestures, but through everyday compassion. It's a call to action, to be the sunflower in someone's day, to believe that one moment can spark a movement. As Lila learned, we're all enough, exactly as we are, when we choose to care. If Lila and Noah's story of kindness and community moved you, don't miss more tales that celebrate the human spirit. Subscribe to Legacy Stories on YouTube for gripping narratives that inspire and uplift. Share your thoughts below. What would you have done in Lila's place? Like, share, and join our community to discover the next story that could change how you see the world. Let's keep the sunflower's light shining.